these craters are what look to be like craters. What are they then?
So there's things that they call craters, which are holes in the earth, like a bowl shape. And then there's little edges kind of up above the rest of the earth around them there. So in one way, it looks like it could have been caused based on an impact from above. Though another way it could be is, say, like a gas bubble from below, and that same kind of shape could be the resulting shape from some sort of phenomenon happening from below just as well.
Like a sinkhole.
Like a sinkhole. And if it was from, say, a rock, burning rock from outer space, there should be huge, I mean, the rock itself should still be there if it caused that big of a depression, and there should also be huge chunks of it everywhere. Yet none of these supposed crater sites have anything of the sort. No big ball sitting in a hole, or even gigantic shards that we can still look at. Only, again, little pieces that they claim, oh, this is a meteorite, just like they claim the moon rocks. And same with the craters on the moon. If you look at the moon with your own eyes or with a telescope, there are potch marks of some kind there. But it's a foregone conclusion to say that they are craters formed during meteorite collisions. I mean, this is just an explanation that you've come up with. It's a possible explanation, but there's no physical evidence for that. None of us have ever seen a rock come from space and collide with the Earth, make a huge explosion, and then show us the rock sitting there so that we can verify that, yep, that was a big-ass rock that just came from outer space. It doesn't exist. We don't actually have that physical evidence to prove that such a thing exists.
So what do we see around the world? These lights that we saw in Russia a few years back and Arizona a few weeks ago, what are these?
Well, we've got shooting stars. Like I said, stars aren't actual terra firma, so when you see a light shoot from somewhere to somewhere else, it's simply that. It's simply a light shooting. It's not a rock in outer space coming somewhere.
No, but the ones in Russia that actually broke school windows and it almost felt like an explosion.
Right. And then you've got these ones where you can see mostly from Russia, it seems like, from dashboard cams, you'll see these burning balls of something coming, and yeah, they've even crashed windows and something. These, I think, are some sort of military thing that they're shooting to make us believe that meteorites exist, because they're always coming down at an angle like they've been shot from a plane. If meteorites existed and we were on a spinning ball Earth, then meteors should be shooting in every single direction possible, not always from the exact same direction coming down onto the Earth. There should be meteorites that go upwards, and ones that go diagonally upwards, and ones that go horizontal, and every other type of way. But we don't see that. So I'm quite skeptical of meteorites or asteroids or any sort of thing that they claim is up there floating around and comes down here and destroys dinosaurs, their other myth. They like to use their myths in conjunction like that.
Two more questions. No, I'm sorry, finish your statement.
So as far as the Russian ones, I would tend to think those are some sort of military experiment, some sort of weapon or something like this, because you don't see them all over the world. You just see them there. It seems like it might be something they're working on. And the craters, not sure what those are formed from, but again, not seeing the evidence that they're from rocks falling from the sky. And for shooting stars, they say that those are comets, or that's another one. They say comets or whatever are asteroid rock formations that circle around us every so many years. But if we're spinning around the sun and the sun's spinning around the galaxy and all these motions are happening, why would comets have regular revolutions that we would see in such a cosmology? If the Earth was actually making all of those motions, we shouldn't ever come up across the same comets again. That makes more sense in a geocentric cosmology where everything in the heavens is revolving around us so that it could return at a regular time, like Halley's Comet or something like that.
Giant rocks that are spread out all over the ground outside aren't actually even the meteor. The apparent meteor is this here, a piece of it. Looks like metal.
It is iron nickel.
It's iron nickel?
Uh-huh.
So tell me about this thing. This is like one
It's
of
the
the few
biggest
pieces.
piece.
This is the biggest piece?
It's the biggest piece found from the one that made the crater. It weighs
Holy
1,406 pounds.
This thing right here is
92% iron.
This is 1,000.
7% nickel. That one is 1,400.
This thing right here is
92% iron.
This is 1,000.
7% nickel. That one is 1,406 pounds. 92% iron, 7% nickel, and about 80 different trace minerals. And it arrived here from the asteroid belt that lies between Mars and Jupiter.
This is awesome.
Good.
This is awesome. I have to film it. Show my wife.
All right.
Is that
The
cool?
next movie
Are
will
you like
be
the
at-
expert? You've been here a while or what?
No, I'm just a tour guide.
Oh, cool.
But I've been here a while. The movie will start at 4:30. It's a 10-minute movie.
Okay.
Doors close automatically, but you still have time to either do the museum.
Yeah, I
or
gotta go check out the big hole.
Go
Which way's the hole?
Check out the hole.
Oh, the crater.
To my left,
There it is.
right there where it
Okay.
says crater.
Cool.
To my left.
Crater. So this is a picture of what
the
I'm
crater.
about to go check out from up in the sky.
Yes. Hello, folks.
Hey, how's it going?
Guys,
You're
this is
just
the
arriving. The
biggest
crater's right
piece.
over there. The
right
next
there.
movie will be at 4:30.
They found it.
Great, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
That's just unbelievable that is the piece.
Uh-huh.
What do you think happened to all?
This time is running out.
Okay, I'm
You
running.
can do the museum.
Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? Let's go check out Meteor Crater.
Le esperamos aquí adentro.
There it is. Whoa. I think we should go down in there, huh? We got 30 minutes to hike this massive trail. So there's just a spring. Looks like they were just digging for water. Honestly. This looks like a bunch of thousands of native men together digging for water. That's not true. It's not that big. Guys, I was just in there. Wow.
Not only can this happen again, it will happen again unless we choose to do so. Not only can this happen again, it will happen again unless we choose to. In our neighborhood, there's
not
a
that
lot
big.
of other asteroids that are
Out
whizzing
there.
past
What
us.
city is that they
These are
put
the
in there?
asteroids that
Guys, it's not that big.
nearer than
I'll go
we
show you
think
right
they
now.
are. We've only surveyed
In the
about
video, they put a whole entire city inside of this thing. I mean, they seriously, they just put a whole entire fucking city. It's not that big, guys. It's not that big. You can't put a city in there. I mean, I'm telling you, like, that city had, like, gigantic trees and skyscrapers. That's a bush right there.
something more like this.
I pay $18 with a discount to come here, and it seems like, other than the hole that's not as big as it looks on TV, other than that, we're gonna go watch a movie. So, you know, you gotta show me a movie while I'm here at the site about what it means, about what it is. Look at this. Oh gosh. It's a compass, that's for sure. It's a compass. Milky Way home. Total compass up there. Quasars. This illustration depicts an artist's conception of current theories about the nature of the universe, galaxy formation, the edge of the universe. A photo or painting, guys. How about that one? It's a good one. Science news. Wham! Proof that it happens elsewhere. It's a meteor hitting someone's car. Sure. Sure it is.
And ye shall know the truth, and the truth shall make you free.
Good morning, everyone. I have been getting a couple of questions here in the last few days about meteors and what meteors are and what meteor showers are. And I've already made a video showing you guys what you think falling stars are, shooting stars. So now I'm going to show you what you think meteors and meteor showers are. There's a difference between the two, but I'm going to show you how they do both of them. The first one I'm going to show you is just a single meteor, or what you think is a meteor, and this is usually how you see it go across the sky. Now let me show you what this truly is that you're seeing. Now what I'm showing you right here is leaked photos of some government agencies and some of their agents in hazmat suits going out into this field, collecting this big wiry looking ball with a hole in the center of it. Now what this basically is, this is kind of like a coil, like a heater coil. Coil wire harnesses heat, and that's kind of like what this does right here. It harnesses heat. Now this little hole that you see in the center of it, I'm going to show you what that's for in a second. But like I said, this wire, wrapped wire, harnesses heat, kind of like this right here. Now this is a car cigarette lighter with a wired coil inside it, and once you plug this in and your negative and your positive connect, it heats that coil up, and you see you get a red glare, fiery red glare, as you can see here. Okay, now this wire, that's what this wire does. It heats up, and that fireball that you see flying across the sky, well, it's eventually got to land somewhere, and they've been found all over the place, Australia, Brazil, and everything. So like I said, that wire ball, it's like a coil. It harnesses the heat. That's the big fireball that you're seeing go across the sky. Now the hole that you see in the center of that right here, as you can see in this photo here, now that's whatever this thing is filled with. I'm not sure what they fill these things with. Kind of just like fireworks. And this hole that you're seeing, that's where everything's released from, the gases, the smoke, just like you see right here in this smoke bomb. It looks identical, just about. And here's another one here. And like I said, there's all kinds of these things. You guys can look these up. I just put a few in here just to give you an example, give you an idea what these things look like. But anyways, that hole, like I said, releases the gases, chemicals, smoke, whatever is in this thing. That's where it all releases from. And that smoke that you see go across the sky when this thing is flying across the sky, or falling out of the sky, basically, where they're dropping it out of the airplane. But that hole is where it's getting its momentum, kind of like a bottle rocket, which all you guys have seen a bottle rocket. Well, same thing. It's got a little hole at the bottom of it, and that's where the flames shoot out at and gives it its momentum, and it shoots across the air. And then what happens when it gets up in the air? It pops, of course. Same thing you see here. It's nothing more than just a big fireworks show to deceive you. That's all it is. So the next time you see one of these flying across the sky, just remember, it's just a big firework. That's all it is, just a big firework to keep you brainwashed. That's all it is. So, anyways, let's move on to what meteor showers really are. Now, these are what they call meteor showers. Now, I'm going to show you how they really do this. Now, this takes several planes to pull this off. Now, I'm going to show you guys some training footage of how they practice doing it. Now, this is leaked footage also, so I don't know the exact location of where they practice doing these meteor showers at, but they kind of stay low when they do it here, so nobody can really report it or see it. But when they pull the actual stunt, these guys are up really, really high, and it's really dark at night. You can't see the planes, and this is how they do the meteor showers. Everyone, have a good morning. Thanks for watching, and God bless.
And ye shall know the truth, and the truth shall make you free.
Hey, Flat Earthers, this is Karen B., and today is Asteroid Day, a global day of education to help protect Earth from asteroids, or, as I like to call it, International Day of Fear Porn. Fear, in this case, standing for false evidence appearing real. Have you realized how integral asteroids are in space programming? When you do a search for why do we explore space, you get a handful of the same reasons recycled in different ways. However, they always mention asteroids. Take a look here at the first link from the search. They give the obligatory, "We need to encourage competitiveness so that we can get the most advanced tech for cheap." And then comes the fear porn, asteroids. They also talk about getting resources from asteroids, which is so ridiculous and expensive and cost prohibitive, why even mention it? But they say it's to possibly find ways to reduce the threat of future impacts. Then this article, Top 10 Reasons We Should Explore Space. The number one reason is asteroids. It says here, a serious, well-funded space program must have the capacity to monitor large asteroids that could potentially destroy our planet. Small asteroids break up in the atmosphere at the rate of one every fortnight, but there are some that are over 100 meters in diameter that we should keep an eye on. And then there's everybody's favorite space puppet, Stephen Hawking. He's shown here telling us we have 100 years to leave Earth because of climate change, overpopulation, epidemics, and you guessed it, asteroid strikes.
Exploring space is cool, inarguably, but it's also pretty expensive. So why do we keep throwing so much money into orbit, and why should we in the future? Why does space exploration matter? According to NASA, about one time every 10,000 years, an asteroid the size of a football field smashes into Earth. It causes tidal waves big enough to flood the coast. But there are bigger asteroids out there too, and that is what we need to worry about. You see, a large enough asteroid could unleash a firestorm. We're talking end-of-the-world type stuff, filling the atmosphere with dust, wiping out forests and farms, starving what it doesn't immediately kill. Keeping an eye out for these objects may save humanity from an untimely death.
They really aren't messing around when it comes to asteroids. I mean, just look at the Asteroid Day website. Asteroids are a major tool to keep everyone scared of the unknown and blindly handing over their trust and money to the powers that be. They even combine it with your favorite rock stars. Queen's We Will Rock You is the official song for Asteroid Day. And did you know Dr. Brian May, guitarist for Queen, is an astrophysicist and is even a co-founder?
Of course, there are many dangers that face mankind. From time to time, massive objects will impact on the Earth. Our surveillance of what's around us is not good enough. In Chelyabinsk, on the other side of the planet, crash, something that we never saw, impacted on the Earth. We are trying to ramp up the rate of detection of these possible impacting objects 100 times. On June the 30th, we are opening up the petition which we call 100X. It's already been signed by a number of top scientists around the world and astronauts. And we're asking the public to sign this petition, which will go to the governments of the world to try and get them to prioritize this as a project. Asteroid Day was formed with this in mind, of coordinating efforts all around the world to make the instruments we need to basically step up our rate of detection.
I mean, wow, right? It's big business. They even have a whole formal style guide. A style guide basically tells you which logo to use, when, and on what background, and what the proper colors to use are. This is common practice of big corporations in business for profit. Imagine yourself out in the city having some tapas and wine with your friends, and then all of a sudden, boom! Asteroid. Complete destruction and instant death. They love to show you how easily your entire existence could be wiped out by any one of these hundreds of giant rocks floating around in space, just waiting to obliterate our minuscule, meaningless, and random existence. A flaming ball in space, because that makes sense, right? A flaming ball in an environment unable to promote combustion? And don't forget the dinosaurs. You could be wiped out by an asteroid just like these big dumb reptiles, just standing there watching their demise fall upon them. And then there's quotes like this. What happens if a big asteroid hits Earth? Judging from realistic simulations involving a sledgehammer and a common laboratory frog, we can assume it will be pretty bad. The most recent asteroid threat was a giant peanut-shaped asteroid the size of the Empire State Building. And when you go look online and you look at the articles about it, the potential risk from a giant peanut asteroid, there's the picture of it. They show you video of it. And there it is. And then, but wait a minute, you go to another article about the same giant peanut-shaped asteroid flying around in space, and then they show you a picture of it, and it looks totally different. Well, this one at least actually looks like a peanut. But what happened to the other one? Why does the other one not look like a peanut, and it's about a peanut, and this one looks like a peanut? I mean, I had to look deeper into these peanut asteroids and see what was going on. So down there at the Arecibo Observatory, they discovered a few asteroids that could hit Earth, like this cashew-shaped asteroid. Another giant asteroid they saw that could possibly be on a collision course is this hazelnut asteroid. Or a filbert nut, it depends who you ask. They also discovered this asteroid. It's the almond asteroid. And the biggest one yet that could be on a collision course with Earth is the walnut asteroid. That's right, space is nuts. Or maybe you just have to be nuts to believe it. See, they show us all these so-called craters and say they're from asteroids, but they have no proof. No one has ever seen an asteroid hit the Earth. Even the Tunguska event can't be proven to be an asteroid. The object exploded in the air above the ground and left no crater, just leveled forest. Also, February 13, 2013, a supposed meteorite streaked through the skies over Russia.
Что ли ушла? Ебать! Нихуя! Блять, война нахуй! Что за блядь?
Hi everybody. Roughly 100 tons. It's January 22nd, 2006. Small shot for us, but we're almost done. We're winding down. Hope you enjoy the show.
Don't believe the hype.
When we think about asteroids, meteors, craters, and all of that, many images come to mind. And I know for me, when looking into the truth about creation and Earth and seeing that there is a firmament, one of the biggest questions I had was, what about asteroids? What about all of these meteors and comets and craters? Because these craters are still there. We can see them. What on earth is going on? And how would these things make it through the firmament? What are they? Well, those questions have answers. I know you have those questions. So I put this together for you. Hope it makes sense and is understandable. If not, ask more questions, because you guys are asking some really awesome questions and they're very important. Because asteroids do serve a purpose in an upcoming deception, and the upcoming deception that we were warned about has been coming true step by step, just like it was said. So let's first look at these craters. Here are some good examples of craters, and as you can see, they look nearly identical. They're from different locations, and what caused them? Well, it depends, because one of them has a known cause, and it's the one on the left here. It has a known cause. It was caused by pressure underground through groundwater that was superheated by magma, which built up a lot of pressure through the steam and all of that, and it made an explosion that shot outward from below, which is why you can see the edges of the crater are slightly elevated from that pressure, similar to when you're cooking something on your stove and it's boiling over and you see those bubbles that pop. Sometimes they look like that after they pop. Well, here is one on the right, and we are told, because we weren't there when it happened, that something struck the Earth from space. Even though it looks exactly like the ones that we know today to be caused by pressure, similar to volcanoes and gases erupting or whatever it is that causes these explosions, the one on the right we're told was caused from something that smashed into Earth from space. They even have a little sort of like gift shop or museum right here with a metal rock on display, and it is claimed that this rock was indeed the one that caused all of this. Not a very big rock, fairly big, but it's the one they say caused all this, or at least part of the rock that caused it. They can't find the rest of the debris, but there you have it. And we buy into that. People go there. That's quite a popular place to go and hang out and just admire the beautiful crater that we are assuming was caused by an asteroid. And there's animations when you go in there. You can see these animations. That just adds to the realism of it all. But when you look around the world, you see that these craters are still occurring and appearing. They're not a unknown phenomenon. We are aware of what causes these most of the time, and you see lots of articles about these. And if we didn't know and we weren't here and these things happened a long time ago, we could be led to believe that this was caused by something traveling really fast and impacting Earth, and we would believe it because, you know, our imaginations kind of fill in the rest. When somebody gives us some information, we kind of go with it and fill in the missing pieces. But let's look here at a crater that is slightly taller than the one that you saw earlier. And then again, taller, starting to look familiar. And when you have a lot of pressure built up over time, it starts to look a little bit more familiar, like the ones that we made in school, the little models we made, the volcanoes. Really familiar. This is just a taller version of what you saw, and except for the fact that it has actual lava spewing out of it. And so lots of visuals and physical evidence we have to understand where these craters came from. They were not caused by things flying in from deep space. But there are some things that we have seen recently flying through the air, and we're told it's from space, and we believe it. I believed it. I've seen something similar to this here. This was in Russia. It's very famous footage, and of course it was captured on many cameras because cameras are everywhere now. And this is dash cam footage of this thing, and I just kind of put a line next to it so you can see it's a fairly straight line. But what is this thing? What caused this beautiful display of lights? Because when this thing flew through the air, it looked like a sparkler on the 4th of July flying through the air, or a Roman candle. And when it hit the ground, it was an amazing display of light, almost like lightning, just a big explosion of light. And so what caused all of that? Well, when we do some investigation, we find out that there are these objects showing up right after these things happen, right after these events happen, and you see something fly through the sky. There's these objects. They're pretty much like giant fireworks. I'm sure that we will figure out exactly how they use these things or where they project them from. They have things way up high, and we don't know what goes on up there. It's not deep space, but near the firmament, pretty high. Lots of different things that could be shooting out these fireworks, and all we see is them when they light up. Of course, we don't see where they come from. They could be launched from the ground, who knows? But definitely, these are not meteorites smashing into the Earth. And you can tell when you look at them, these aren't coming from aliens. They want us to believe that because asteroids are part of an upcoming deception, and we'll get into that towards the end. But let's look at the distance that Earth would move, because someone brought up a really good question in the comments of one of my videos about asteroids. They said they always tell us that asteroids are headed toward Earth, as if Earth isn't moving. But they said, wouldn't Earth be moving way faster than these asteroids? Because after all, we're moving 490,000 miles per hour, traveling millions of miles per day through space. And I thought about it, did the math myself, and just wondering out of curiosity if an asteroid were coming toward Earth, like the one you see here. So let's say this asteroid here is 2 minutes away from Earth. How far would Earth move? Because I didn't know this, and I could go up to pretty much anybody who believes in the globe and ask them, hey, how far does Earth move every minute? They do not know. I've learned more about the globe than I've ever known from looking into this. And the truth is, or actually the false truth that we all were taught is, that if the heliocentric model were true, Earth would move this far. Look at my cursor right here as a reference point. The Earth would move this far within that minute. Okay, so pretty much the distance of its own diameter, it would move that far in just 1 minute. So if an asteroid 2 minutes away coming towards Earth, we would already be gone. We would not be in the same area. But when you see the animations of asteroids coming towards Earth, Earth is just sitting still, and these things are going straight toward it, and it freaks us out because we're like, this could happen. But if the heliocentric model is correct, most likely we would be out of the way. But if there was a chance that we moved at the exact speeds necessary with this asteroid, and the asteroid, let's say the asteroid was coming in at a higher angle, and we matched it perfectly and we hit the asteroid, think about if you've ever thrown anything out of a car window at a moving target. Does that object appear to go in a straight line? No. It's a curved path because you have the movement of the car in a reference to the object moving, and so it's always going to have a curved line. Not only that, it's hitting the atmosphere, so that also slows it down, but it's not a straight path. You have two movements for spinning and circling the sun, so lots of different motions going on. Anything flying into Earth would be in a really weird flight path, definitely not straight on, and it would not look like the straight line we saw earlier with the asteroid from Russia. But let's look at some news about these asteroids, because I was watching a news article a while back, and I've done a video about this before, where they were telling us about this giant derp face asteroid. Look at it. I mean, tell me that's not them just making fun of us. This asteroid is super gigantic, made of this precious metal that could be worth $10 quadrillion, and they are sending a probe to investigate it. There's no real pictures of it, but they're sending a probe to investigate it. They were going to spend billions of dollars to send something toward it and hopefully orbit around it and maybe get a sample of it. I don't know how this thing wouldn't smash into it and explode, but they were going to send a probe to it to find out what it's made of. That's literally what they said right after they told us that it's worth quadrillions of dollars, and now we're going to send something there to find out what it's worth. So in other words, they're just making this stuff up and probably just using that to get more money. I don't know. But none of it makes sense, and it's all science fiction. But we've never seen them in real life. We have animations and pictures to make them real to us. But let's look at something that has to do with the moon and how these craters formed on the moon, because we know how the craters formed on Earth. The moon was a mystery. I couldn't figure that out. That was one of those questions that I had just burning, like, oh my gosh, it's driving me crazy. What caused these things? Was it the Tower of Babel? Were they launching stuff at the moon? I mean, what happened? I really don't know, but I've came across a video from a really cool channel. I'm going to share it, watch it, and look at the moon, make some comparisons, and you'll see that it's quite impressive, because we all know now that there are properties of the firmament that are different than we thought, like these sprites. If you look at these sprites, you can see that these sprites, which are coming through the firmament, have these explosive properties, electrical properties that are spectacular, and they light up, they show you the firmament. They were mentioned in the Book of Enoch. I thought it sounded crazy when I read the verse about stars rising up to become lightning but not losing their form. So pretty much they release these impulses, and you can see them coming out of the firmament. This is about 70 miles high. If you haven't analyzed this footage, you need to look at it. This is way above the clouds. You are not seeing clouds light up. This is definitely shooting out of the firmament. You can see waves move across it. But think about that and that much power when you're watching this video. It's from the channel Good Times for All, and this is very genius, this experiment. It's testable, provable. You guys can do it on your own, but check it out.
Now what you're looking at here are the marks that electrical discharges make in a loose surface. What I have here is some baby powder and a lid, a metallic paint can lid, setting on top of the Van de Graaff generator. I'm going to get rid of all these and smooth this back out so you can see that there are no more holes in it like we had. Now what we're going to get is, since this is the positive and this is the negative, some of this is going to come up to the positive right away and make some weird patterns on the top right away, kind of like pitting. Now we don't have enough power to get a nice charge to clear out all the powder all the way down to the hard surface, but we do see some really neat things. So let's go ahead and fire this up and get some. There's that beginning. You can see the powder, how it's like jumping up almost. There's an alright one. We're getting a lot of discharging through noise. There we go. Now what we get when we take a closer look at this, remember how it was smooth just a little bit ago? Look at that. Does that kind of remind you of anything? And remember, we don't have enough power to get any real big electrical discharges. But if I had the coloring right and this and that, and some more power, I bet I could make this look in a way that I could fool people and say that I had a lunar something or other up there orbiting the moon, sending back pictures, and people would believe it.
When I zoom in on the moon and I take a close look, I can see all these circular craters, which they say are from impacts. My question is, if all these space rocks are flying in at different angles, not just 90-degree angles, where are the impact marks which create digs and canyons and trails? Shouldn't there be meteors and comets and asteroids coming in at various angles, all sorts of various angles? Are we to believe all of these meteor impacts are coming in at 90-degree angles? We should be seeing marks like this on the moon. Like I said, dig marks caused by meteors coming in at an angle. I can find images produced by Hollywood which demonstrate this, where a meteor comes in at an angle and makes a big giant gouge, right? And digs deeper and deeper into the earth as it hits. Well, in this case, we should be seeing these marks on the moon, except we don't.
Good morning, my name is Carol Rosen. In 1974, after being a 6th grade school teacher, I was introduced to the late Dr. Wernher von Braun, in the U.S. the father of rocketry. In my first meeting with him, during that first 3.5 hours, he said to me, "Carol, you will stop the weaponization of space." And I said, teachers don't stop until June. He said, "No, you have to understand, this is February, and we have to prevent the weaponization of space because there is a lie being told to everyone that the weaponization of space is now first being based upon the evil empire, the Russians. There are many enemies," he said, "against whom we're going to build this space-based weapon system. The first of whom was the Russians, which was existing at that time. Then there would be terrorists. Then there would be third world countries. Now we call them rogue nations or nations of concern. Then there would be asteroids." And then he would repeat to me over and over, "And the last card, the last card, the last card would be the extraterrestrial threat." Well, at the time, I kind of laughed when he said asteroids, and when he said extraterrestrials, I knew I wasn't going to deal with that subject. And now we hear on the news just today, this week, that they've slid in another enemy. Only this time we're going to protect our satellites. In other words, we have to have some reason to spend these trillions, to waste these dollars on a space-based weapon system, and they're all lies.
There is an asteroid discovered in December 2004 called Apophis. named for the Egyptian god of death and darkness. It was named only after its trajectory was identified to intersect that of Earth. So, we get the orbit. Turns out, in the year 2029, the month of April, the 13th of April, a Friday, Apophis will come so close to Earth that it will dip below our orbiting communication satellites. And it is the size of the Rose Bowl. It'll be the largest, closest thing we have ever observed to come by Earth. If the asteroid goes through the middle of that keyhole, it will hit the Earth 13 years later. It will hit the Earth. 500 kilometers due west of Santa Monica.
500 kilometers due west of Santa Monica.
Well, for decades, only crackpots and crazy people believed in UFOs. That's what I thought anyway. And then in recent years, it turns out that governments have been taking them seriously all along. Very seriously.
The performance characteristics exceed anything in our own inventory. And that, by the way, was the conclusion in this Pentagon document. This thing ran rings around our F-18 Super Hornets that tried to chase this thing. It was briefly tracked on radar, but then it seemed to be able to, and this again is a phrase from the document, it's almost like it cloaked itself and became invisible. You'd think this was science fiction if you weren't reading it in Pentagon documents. And we know now, which we didn't know before, that the government took this very seriously, and these things are being seen in our skies, whatever they might be, by pilots tracked on radar, and there's a serious defense and national security issue here. This is real.
Today's report calls for the creation of a new unified combatant command for space, the United States Space Command. This new command structure for the physical domain of space, led by a 4-star flag officer, will establish unified command and control for our Space Force operations, ensure integration across the military, and develop the space warfighting doctrine, tactics, techniques, and procedures of the future.
It is not enough to merely have an American presence in space. We must have American dominance in space. So important. Very importantly, I'm hereby directing the Department of Defense and Pentagon to immediately begin the process necessary to establish a Space Force as the 6th branch of the armed forces. That's a big statement. We are going to have the Air Force and we are going to have the Space Force, separate but equal.
Hello everyone, welcome back. Hope you're doing good. I wanted to talk about something that hardly anyone is talking about, and it's really random, I know, but I'm doing this for a reason, and it's because I was reading a comment on our last video, and someone asked a question about this comet. They said, I believe in flat Earth and have been doing a lot of research into it, but had a question about Halley's Comet and was wondering how you would explain that on a flat Earth if this thing is for real. And I thought, you know what, that's a really good question. I don't know if anybody's looked into that. I want to do some research and find out, because I know this thing was real. People saw it. It wasn't like they just faked it. They faked a comet, even though they could have, but I believe this thing was a real light in the sky. People did see it and looked at it. And there's lots of pictures of this thing. Not as much as I thought they would be floating around, but there's decent pictures out there. You just got to look. And I found this first one here. This was actually the first picture of Halley's Comet from 1910. And since this thing is supposedly seen every 76 years and has been throughout history, from what we're told, this was lining up with the pictures we have 76 years later in 1986. And here is one from NASA. And this was a pretty good picture. And it does look like a real picture of stars. I've taken pictures of stars in recent times, and that's about what they look like. So I could believe this is probably a real picture of Halley's Comet. And you can zoom in on it, look at it. Looks quite interesting, and the first thing I start thinking from new eyes and knowing there's a firmament there is, holy crap, this just looks like a light shining through the firmament. Some sort of sign, not sure what it would be for, biblically, what it would mean at all. But it was a really bright looking beam shining through the firmament. That's just what I thought without looking at this thing with any preconceived notions about it being some sort of rock or what they call it, dust, gas, and ice that just glows in a vacuum as it flies by the Earth really fast. So I don't know how the dust and gas and ice would glow like that. Maybe because it's moving really fast. We could probably try an experiment in the vacuum to see if things moving fast will glow like that. But looking at it, many different pictures of it that I came across, most of them actual pictures of it. And again, to me, it looks like somebody's shining a flashlight into a lake, and you're underwater looking at the flashlight shining through, something like that. Here's what looks like a painting. I thought at first it was a real picture, but I believe this is probably a painting. Could be real, I don't know. Didn't have any descriptions with it. Here's one from December 13th of 85. So Halley's Comet, or I keep calling it Halley's Comet. That's what I thought it was called, but it's actually Halley's Comet. It was probably around in December and must have stayed there for a while because it was there in 86. So a little over a month it was visible in the sky at night. Here's another picture of it, kind of fuzzy. Again, just wanted to show you some of the ones I came across. And here is not a picture of the comet, but just light rays shining through the atmosphere. And what really got my wheels turning was when I compared the pictures of this comet right here to light rays shining through water. And holy cow, it looks exactly the same. And if you know anything about the firmament or the waters below or the waters above or anything like that, you know that it has some really cool properties. Just released a video that's taken off about the firmament and its fluid properties when you can see the waves move across it during the lightning sprites.